Hey, before we jump into the rest of the video, it's important to give you some context here. First of all, if you haven't watched the review I did on the Zenith Purpose Anatomy tool, I'll encourage you to go check that out because we're not going into the detail here. This is really a video that shows you the practical application of the tool. And then if you want to see a little bit more around effective facilitation of the tool, I would really encourage you to go check out the live stream I did with Marloes Sikkema, the founder of Zenith Purpose Anatomy, where we talk a little bit about where the tool came from, and then she takes me through the process as well. And I think that live stream really shows you how you can effectively facilitate using this tool. In this video, Terry really knows the subject. She's really kind of switched on about where she wants to go. So the facilitation process was really easy, and we kind of just went for it. We didn't plan out too much. And I think even in this video, you'll see how effective this tool works, even if you're not super prepared. So what's next? In the comments, in the captions, I will leave links to the two videos I mentioned, the review and then the live stream with Marloes. And then, yes, what's left? I just want you to go check this out. And then, of course, let me know what you think. Like, do you have some alternatives, some ideas, some thoughts? And as always, catch you in the comments. The first part of this exercise, Terry, is that you have to think about the purpose that we discussed. So, for example, we said that we want to look at and correct me if I'm wrong, at the purpose of your social media activity, but I think it's the purpose of the creator side of your social media activity, right?
Well, it's the creator and the influencer side, right?
Yeah. So, the midlife, what did you say? The midlife influencer.
Midlife influencer. Yeah, I think I have to completely embrace the midlife influencer moniker. But yeah, so it's the creator influencer side of my life, so we can figure out why I'm doing it, where I want to take it, what I want to end up doing with it.
Exactly.
So that I actually have purpose, so that when I'm making decisions around everything that I'm doing, I always will come back to, well, why am I doing this? And that way it'll help influence what I write, what I put out in terms of video or TikToks or the content that I share or the images that I post out on Instagram, and all the different social media platforms, or even what I decide to speak on when I get asked to speak at events or write up things to push out.
Yeah.
Like in July, I'm going to be talking at the Mountain View Library, which is here in Silicon Valley, about I was supposed to talk in March of last year, but because of COVID, it got pushed. And so we rescheduled to July. And so I revisited it, and it really it was supposed to be part of International Women's Day and Women's Month last year. And so now it's really about my book, and I'm really focusing on pushing my book, Piloting Your Life, but also midlife madness, being a woman in midlife and how we can embrace it to design and live a life of our own creation.
Awesome. And I think it's maybe let's go through this exercise and see where it takes us, especially at the end, because now it's a bit like I'm also a bit all over the place, but I think that if we work this properly, potentially what you're going to walk away with here is a few points that could be like a kind of glue between all these different elements you want to bring to the table. So Absolutely. The first part of the exercise, Terry, and really this is really just kind of the idea is that when you've gone through this exercise the first time, you can always go back and revisit this and tweak things and move things around. So it's not like by no means final, but I would say let's go through the first iteration of this and see where it takes us. And I'm kind of curious to see if it works for you or not, because you might say, oh, this is a bit confusing. But so the first part of this is that I want you to quickly scan through the 7, take your time, scan through it. Look at specifically, the first thing you need to do is I want you to select the 3 heart cards, so the middle cards that really, first of all, resonate with you in the sense of your purpose, right? So we've kind of laid down what purpose we want to define, and then go through these, the stack of these 7 kind of groups. Take in consideration some of the cards around it, but the first and most important thing is to really go and see, from the 7 that's there, that from wisdom, competence, safety, security, freedom, progress, and performance and connection. I kind of already, knowing you, some of them that I think is going to pop up, but I want you to identify the 3 most important cards to you?
Let's say, yeah, we're not, because competence is really around probably my consulting, my expert witness, my that. So I'm going to kick that one out. Safety, security, nope. Wisdom, yes. Progress, yes. And I'm struggling between connection and freedom.
Yeah, because I think, freedom is really like, and I'm trying to think like maybe the thing we also need to consider with your purpose is that, is it Terry's personal purpose, or is it your purpose as it relates to how you connect with other people?
No, it's part of Terry's existence and how she operates in the world. It's Terry as a brand.
Because you've actually taken into account you're talking about freedom and performance, right?
So I think connection. As a super connector, I don't think I can get rid of connection.
Yeah.
So I think it's wisdom, progress, and connection.
Francie,
hi, Francie.
Francie, Tata is making pratza, okay? A little terrorist.
One day I will meet him. So I think connection. Part of that I do is there. So I really can't. I create a sense of belonging for others, and we know progress has to be in there because I am working on making the world a better place.
Exactly.
That's so it's and it's the wisdom is really taking what I've learned, sharing it, and so those are the three: wisdom, progress, and connection.
Yeah, and I want to say to you, like, I'm like playing not the role of facilitator, but as your friend. Like when I think about them, I think performance, like knowing you. Performance is kind of implicit. It's kind of, you're going to get performance with Terry no matter what. It's not something that you have to think about. The other thing, I did like, honestly, like when you said, like the freedom aspect was kind of like appealing to me, but I can see where that is also kind of, it comes with a package. Like if you, like maybe in a way, I don't know if this makes sense. If you think about wisdom, connection, and progress, if you combine them, it might lead to freedom.
Absolutely. I just wrote wisdom, progress, connection, drew an arrow because that's going to lead to freedom. But innately in how I operate in the world, performance is just going to be like an ingredient, or it's a tool. It's not, it's not part of the purpose. It's just how I work.
Yeah.
So, but you're right.
Okay.
I like the idea.
No, this is already like I'm feeling good about the cards that you've selected here already.
Well, you approve of them. That makes me feel good.
So now the next thing you need to do is, you have this like top left attribute. So for example, if you go to competence, there's an attribute. Let me just zoom in there. It's called capabilities and experience, right? It's in a specific position. So what you want to do is you want to go through all of these cards or attributes. And if there's a specific attribute that talks to you, grab it and then put it onto your animal, but in the space that it represents, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of, if it sits on that little left-hand side, like perfection and quality driven, it needs to retain that space. So if you can go through the animals, and by all means talk to me about it, because like I like the fact that like you reflect, and then I can go through the cards, and then you can make your.
Am I only allowed to choose one that fits in that spot, or am I allowed to choose more than one?
More than one. You can, because I'm going to give the game away. You're going to get to the end where you have to like select one card to go forward with. But for now, you can select up to 3 into each of these little selections.
Okay, I'm a little bit. Oh, that's okay. I'm good. Intuitive, mindful. That's definitely
okay. So you've got.
Okay, so basically, I'm starting with the. What is this? What is this one? The wisdom one. And so the top left, absolutely true to self. That is like Terry.
That is a fact. Yeah.
The left one, the intuitive and mindful, mean, how do I speak to that? I worked with a coach a couple of years ago to really tap into my intuition, and really learn how to rely on really tap into the feminine side, because, I work in Silicon Valley. I've been in IT for over 20 years. I'm in male dominated spaces, and I really went very analytical, and I really learned to embrace over the last couple of years my intuition, to be mindful. And it's really become part of who I am, and also part of my brand. So the other thing over on the right hand side, the opposite side, being courageous, confident, and
Oh yeah.
decisive. Like, do we need to go any further on that? I mean,
No.
it's, I am known for being I'm known for being bold. I'm known for being scared and going for it anyway. Every day I have a planner, and it's like #1 brave thing. Every day I have to do something I'm terrified of. So
And tell you
uh,
the other thing, and this is not, this is just for both you and me to consider. I think the one thing we shouldn't, like I'm also seeing these traits in you, right? But we also need to remember about what kind of purpose we want to build. Remember, it's connected to your social strategy.
okay, so
So
courage. I want to empower other people to be courageous, confident, and decisive. So absolutely
yeah,
want to do that. I want to encourage mostly women, because that's my primary audience, to be true to themselves and to really embrace being feminine. So, and tap into that intuitiveness and being mindful. So those things really fit, which makes it a little tough, because I was going to grab ethically driven, but I'm actually going to leave it off, because I already know that I'm going to be kicking that out. So I'm not, because the intuitive and mindful is more important to me than the ethical.
yeah. I think that's kind of like, because there's a lot of these elements, and I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, but there's a lot of these things that are kind of implicit. Like it's not something that you have to think about. It's going to come from you anyway. It's just the things that it's really going to differentiate. So you've grabbed another one there. That is from, which is the one that you
From
grabbed?
progress, I picked up make the world a better place. But if I'm going to have to choose between these, I'm gonna end up kicking that out, and
Yeah. I think,
picking
but
true to self.
yeah, I mean, drop it, leave it there, let it simmer, unless you get something that's going to, like, it kind of trumps that one. Sorry to use the word trump, but to kind of kick that one out. But
Um,
something that's going to be better.
Yeah, you know what? That's going to be interesting. So from connection, I chose because I want. So one of the things that I find with the group that I'm targeting, which is really midlife women, and women approaching midlife. So women 40, well, really it's 40 to 55, 40 to 60, or women coming up behind, and the men who are in their lives who are empathetic. So
Yeah.
so like Werner, you're part of one of my kind of avatars. Um, my friend Chris Cooney is another one. My husband is another one. There are men out there who support the women who are really in my sweet spot. And so this belonging, this closeness, this harmony, when I think about what I want to create with, being this influencer and creator, is a lot of these women don't feel like they belong anywhere. They've lost sight of who they are,
Yeah.
and they want to be living in harmony. They want to feel like they belong to something. They want to feel less like an outlier as they're true to their self. So that's going to be really, really interesting so I'm already going
I
to kick
like
out
that. Yeah.
world. I'm kicking out make the world a better place. They want to do that, but first they have to find themselves
Okay.
and get comfortable with themselves, and before they can actually look at a broader thing.
Boom. That's gone.
Um, I already kicked it out.
Okay.
Um, so in this upper right-hand corner, to have, I'm picking to have a meaningful life. I mean, that really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. When I did the research for my book, Piloting Your Life, meaning and purpose came up as something that there are three things in midlife that we need to do in order to really thrive. And one of them is a little bit of exercise. One is to have purpose and meaning, a reason to get out of bed, your ikigai. I mean, that is just so incredibly important.
Yeah.
I think about the creator concept and the influencer concept, it's inspiring them and giving them actually permission to have a meaningful life, to be true to themselves. As you know, that's part of it.
Awesome.
So
Makes it's kind of interesting how the wisdom animal is actually like really like a lot of the elements are jumping across in there. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, especially since, you know, but maybe the connection piece, because I'm a super connector, so maybe it's, you know, that's just part of what comes along with Terry. But I'm
Yeah.
also a little bit exhausted about bringing people together, so that could be part of it. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say like maybe this is also opportunity to explore other avenues, right? I mean, like you said, Terry 2.0 or Terry Unleashed. Maybe somewhere here, like if you go across. I mean, I think there's a few other animals like Freedom. I just want to see what happens
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Can I look at some?
Yeah, yeah. So
So
you so
so
remember
I actually,
you can, sorry, I don't know if I've been clear, but you can now select from any of the animals, not only the colors that you've selected heart.
oh, I
You can select anything, right? So
oh
anything, there's
oh
really like, so sorry, I didn't later. So for example, you can go across, look at freedom. You can also go over to competence and safety and security, because sometimes you don't have to just align with the heart animals. You can go and really look at all the other ones.
okay. The safety and security, I'm not choosing anything out of there.
Okay.
So, okay. So what I just grabbed from freedom in the lower left-hand corner is I grabbed creativity and exploration. This goes
Yeah.
back to something that I talk about in, once again, piloting your life is, you know, we need to explore, we need to figure out, we need to make failure our second favorite F word, you know. So that one, I think, I'm just going to leave that one there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting rid of belonging. I know I'm not doing this right, but I'm kicking that out because
Terry, I
first and
never
foremost,
expect you to follow the rules, so this is fine.
yeah, because so I mean, top left really is being true to yourself. And that is what the purpose of this is really to be true to myself and inspire others to be true to themselves. I want others to have a meaningful life. I want others to move confidently, boldly, courageously, and decisively. And so that's in the far right-hand side.
Okay. You put some creativity and exploration is bottom left.
Bottom left, which is absolutely key. I'm just going to put intuitive and mindful. I'm going to look back over to see if in that left one, if there's anything that jumps out at me. Ethically driven, no. Playful and imaginative. I'm going to grab that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to decide.
I also see that. Pop it in there. I think and we still, I mean, there's nothing that at the performance side that appeals to you, right?
No, the achieve to get ahead was really earlier on as we were, you know, I'm 51 now. So achieve to get ahead was really 30s and 40s, you know, and now it's, you know, the competitive ambitious, I'm just, you know, in terms of thinking it's really more collaborative. So I don't really like that. Productivity and efficiency, I don't like that one. Attention to image and presentation. No, I want to let go
of perfection.
What?
Let go of perfection.
Let go of perfection. God,
there's
I don't know where you
about
got that
I think, and if I may say, like tenacious and willpower, there's something about that kind of but maybe I'm confusing your personality with your purpose, you know, like, you know.
So the tenacious and the willpower, I think, like the other two that we have are intuitive and mindful and playful and imaginative. I'm going to I think I'm going to pull, I want playful and imaginative. I'm going to get rid of intuitive and mindful, because if you are true to yourself, then that's going to come into it. So I like playful and imaginative. So
okay, so we got rid of intuitive here.
Yeah, so we've got creativity and exploration and playful and management, playful and imaginative coming from, is that coming from freedom? No, progress. What's that coming from? That's coming from freedom. So the lower right-hand side,
so we still need like the bottom right, right?
No. I'm looking. Okay, so here's what I have to choose from. I have gather knowledge and know-how. Plan ahead, methodical approach. Hell no. Taking ownership and accountability. Nope. Ideas into action. Ooh, I kind of like that one. I'm gonna
That was one of my favorites too, to be honest. Because I think
bringing people together, anticipating needs. Nope, because we tend to do that. Finding opportunity, inner drive. I'm gonna grab that one.
yeah.
And
So you have
productivity.
their ideas into action.
I have
What's the
ideas
other one
into
that you grabbed? The other one that you
and
mentioned?
finding opportunity, inner drive.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna take ideas into action, because what I would like to, in putting this out here, like right now on TikTok, I'm doing a 51 of my favorite things, and I'm just putting out some of them. And what I would like to do is put these ideas out so that people go, oh, so I want to listen to a new podcast and be curious about sex. So I'm going to listen to the Sex with Emily podcast. Or yeah, my eyelashes aren't all that great, and Terry talked about one of her favorite things being the Rodan and Fields, this eyelash booster thing. I was like, oh, there's an idea, let me go ahead and buy that and take action on it. So I think I'm gonna stick with ideas into action.
I think that
Or
I think there's, and maybe it kind of triggers a thought with me, like when I think about your content. Like I think you haven't, like if I think about the content that I've seen you create, the underlying thing is always there is always kind of like you're actually encouraging people. I mean, your book is called Piloting Your Life, for Pete's sakes. So the concept of ideas into action is actually very strong, but I don't think it's been coming across very like so strong in your content, perhaps, you know.
well, no, and I think that's part of the problem is I don't have specific asks. I don't want a hard sell, but what I'm doing isn't working. So this is where kind of the evolution in working with you is, I'm hoping that because I'm a very literal person, and I'm hoping that working with you, you'll be able to help me find a way to comfortably say, hey, go do this, without, because I don't like to be told what to do, so I don't tell anybody else what to do. So
Yeah.
that's why you're not seeing
And
specific.
I wonder if this ideas into action doesn't mean, it's not, I don't think it's necessarily telling them what to do, but rather telling them how to do. Because I think I also want to be careful, because like in my content, or what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show things. I'm not trying to force you, but maybe it sparks an idea and then you know how to do it. And I think there's elements of the stuff that you talk about also, where you kind of want to inspire people to live their best lives. And in some of your content, you actually do allude to like the how, but it's not always been so clear. And maybe it's just amplifying that a little bit. I mean, I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but I'm just, what I'm
That's
trying to
okay.
say, I like this one.
But so I think right now we've got true to self, which is spot on. Have a meaningful life, spot on. Courageous, confident, decisive, taking ideas and turning them into action, being creative, exploring, and being playful and imaginative. The playful and imaginative is so important to me because as what you alluded to is, at the end of all of my YouTube videos, I say, let go of perfection, take some risks, and above all else, have some fun. And
I love it.
by the way, I am so proud of myself for having come up with that, the very first YouTube video that I did, a year and a half ago, because it really does embody what it is that, it embodies all of this. And
Yeah. You need to trademark that, because I'm going to steal it.
you'll have to tell me how to, I don't know
I
how
don't
to
know. That's in the next episode.
That's so I think I'm super happy with these.
So Terry, can I ask you one thing? I'm going to shut up for 1 minute. Like I'm going to give 1 minute. And then I just want you, because we've spoken about a lot, I just want to have you scan through the top ones one more time, so that I can feel in my soul that I've done a good job. And just see if there's anything that jumps out. Don't try to think about positioning, but any of those things, that if there's anything, I'm happy if this is where you are, but I just want to give you a chance to just, without my interference, just scan through them again and see if there's anything else that jumps out at you.
Okay, so I'll tell you, so the ones in the confidence, the curious, the dedicated to craft, and the perfectionist, quality driven, I'm just, that was so first half of life. It's not necessarily second half,
Yeah.
and when I say first half, second half is, the first 50 years and then the second 50 years. And so the confidence, I mean, a lot of my target audience has already really come up with a lot of this.
Yeah.
Now it's really time to have the freedom to play and to kind of figure out what's next. And that's what it is. So that's why the confidence piece,
Yeah, and I've
those
met
aren't
some of your connections, and like the one thing I think they all embody a lot of the elements here. So I agree with what you're saying. Like they
so
have that
part of
already.
it
Yeah.
may be owning that, but that's a whole separate other thing. So
Yeah.
going into safety and security, and I'm looking at that, and that is just, I would like things to be more fluid and more experimental, in what I'm what I
Yeah,
talk about.
this is
We talk
not Terry.
about in the, what'd you say?
This is not Terry. Like I mean, but I mean, I
Oh,
think a lot of people.
no, this is Terry to a T. I am all about control, but I'm trying to let go of
Uh,
control. I
yeah.
am all about things being ordered and structured, but that's because it's my need for control. But my need for control comes directly from some childhood trauma type things that I'm working through with my therapist. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, the
So
certainty.
this is the one that actually, I mean, nothing here is negative, but these are the ones that currently kind of not you specific, but could hold you back. Like if I mean, I think about myself, like it's nerve wracking to have your own business. I need to have certainty. But those can become kind of like could drag you down and
Oh, and I
stop
talk
you
myself
from.
off the ledge. So so the being able to kind of springboard into the next and really open up to possibilities and opportunities, it can't be ordered and structured and have control. I talk about having anchors to make you feel, but those might be, I mean, those for me are like daily yoga and daily meditation and writing down my 3 gratitudes and finding things that make me feel grounded every day so that I don't have to have everything under control, structured, methodical. I mean, I'm a project manager. I am all about planning.
This
I
is
am
all your
all about
stuff.
a
Yeah.
methodical approach. So but what I'm finding and working with my therapist is a lot of my need for control and certainty and all of that comes from childhood trauma that I'm trying to work through and get away from so that I can have freedom to really explore.
Exactly.
And
I'm
I
with
know
you
I'm
in
not
that.
alone in that. So
And
in terms of
wisdom,
my,
you've completely destroyed wisdom. Like that one really resonated with you, that grouping.
oh
And I
yeah,
do.
I mean, that's the pink one, the magenta. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the staying calm and grounded, but I liked the other one better. So
Yeah.
I'm cool with that one. The next one, which is what, progress.
Progress.
So here's what's interesting. A lot of times women, when we get into our 40s, or even men too, we are looking for, we start facing our own mortality. We start facing our parents' mortality, their illness, our kids are getting older, all these things are happening. And so we lose, we also want to know that we matter. So this make the world a better place, I struggled with that one because we do, but if I have to choose between being true to self and making the world a better
I
place, it's
yeah.
true to self.
And I agree. I think like my wife laughed at me the other day. I said to her, I've when it was my birthday, I said to her, I feel like I'm in a stage of life now where when I was younger, I wanted to make the world a better place, but now I'm in a space where I want to be a better person, and I think that will have, in turn, make the world a better place if I work on
Absolutely. And
myself.
the research shows that. So I like innovation, but I like the idea of having a meaningful life more. Ethically driven, I think when you're true to yourself and you're kind of taking a look at where you are and what you want to have happen, then you end up being,
Yeah.
ethically driven. And then the win-wins, doing the right thing, that just kind of happens. So I don't think it has to be something to focus on. If I had to have secondary things, I could choose some of these, but not the primary.
No.
And then finally, and
Connection.
then the green one is connection. So the third thing that we need to really thrive in midlife is strong friendships. So this really ties into that. But if we're true to ourselves, I think some of these things, and we're looking to live a meaningful life, these things just kind of come in. So
Yeah.
I don't want to focus. Once again, these can be things that flavor it, but I don't want it to be primary. So I'm
Yeah.
good on that.
Makes sense.
Loyal,
Yeah.
committed. I mean, those are really good, but they're secondary. They're not primary. And
Yeah.
then we're at turquoise.
That's freedom, right?
Yeah, no, none of these speak to me. And then lastly, the performance. Yeah, I mean, this is like first half of life. This is not second half of life.
Yeah. It's interesting that you've played it out like that. I like it.
I mean, it
Pretty
ties into
clear.
what I'm doing. So I am
Cool.
super comfortable with where we
It
ended
sounds
up.
like you're in a good space. So if we go and we look at this animal that you've created. So at the moment, just to double check if we have everything right. So at the heart of this, you have wisdom, progress, and connection. Then if I go from the top, you have true to self, playful and imaginative, creative exploration, ideas into action, courageous, confident, and decisive, and to have a meaningful life. Great. Now, Terry,
Can I get rid of connection though? I mean, because I want
but
to pull connection.
that is the next step. I know, you move at a way faster pace than me. The next thing, and this is going to be the tough one, is you actually need to end up with only one heart card. So there needs to be, you need to choose now because you've gotten rid of connection. I mean, the thing is, I'm going to leave this up. I mean, you can revisit this again, of course, so you can sleep on it, but you need to consider one hard card. Like, you need to keep one.
Okay, I
And
did.
I see you're going for freedom.
Freedom.
What is in the
Yeah.
center there? Freedom. Can you talk to me a bit about that?
Yeah, because you're just like, why not wisdom, since I have 3 pink ones in there? But
Yeah.
I've got 2 of the freedom cards in there that I'm trying to get bigger and fit into this space. So it's prettier. So with true to self, having a meaningful life, being courageous, and confident and decisive, turning your ideas into action with the creativity, all of, oops. Uh-oh. How do I go back? There we go. All of this leads to freedom. Freedom to be yourself, freedom to explore, freedom to live. God damn it. But it really, what it leads, it goes to what I put into my book, which is I want to inspire women over the age of 40 to design and live a life of their own creation. So that's where freedom comes into play. Oh, look at that. That's magic.
I want you to talk me through this animal because this is Terry, and let's see if you talk it through with me, because this is kind of the final step. Is to go through and actually see if you have to kind of build a narrative around it and talk through it to see if it makes sense.
What this goes back to, we're talking when I wrote Piloting Your Life, I wrote it as a love letter to Gen X, but really to inspire and motivate women over the age of 40 to design and live a life of their own creation. In doing so, that really equals freedom. And so that's why freedom in the center makes so much sense. In looking at all of this, to be free, what does that symbolize, or how does that manifest? You're true to yourself, you're living for or aiming for a meaningful life, you're acting courageously, confidently, and decisive because you know what you want, or you at least have an idea of being comfortable and confident and taking some steps to figure that out. So let's not assume everybody in my audience has it figured out, but we know that they want to feel courageous and confident and decisive. They want to live a meaningful life. They want to be true to themselves. And doing it in a light and playful and imaginative way. So basically rejecting what society has mandated or dictated up until now, and seeing this wide open terrain as something that is to be explored, is to be embraced and not to be terrified by. It doesn't mean you can't be scared, but this is where the courageous piece comes in. It's like to be scared and to go for it anyway. And the creativity and exploration is, as I said, having, exploring and having failure be your second favorite F word. Being creative in how you approach it, having it be light, and then the ideas into action is once you're kind of playing with this, once you have some ideas, you take those steps, whether it's little steps or big steps, confidently and decisively. And then, this all comes together, hopefully into the exploration piece. That's where like the wisdom thing is, the learning component is you learn from something and you apply, you learn and you apply, and it's always an iterative process. But until the time that we're dead, this should be the way that we are moving forward. So this all really ties in together quite beautifully for what it is that I want to communicate out into the world and who I want to be seen as a midlife influencer. Someone, who playfully, when I talk about sex exploration and I talk about, doing silly things, all of this just kind of comes into play. So as an influencer, I want to live this life and broadcast it, show that I'm definitely not perfect, show some vulnerability to encourage and inspire others to do the same.
I think it works, right?
I love this exercise. I was a little, not skeptical, but a little bit nervous because I can be so analytical, and this was going to be a little bit more of a creative exercise. And I was a little, but this is brilliant, because this is really cementing how I want to be viewed, so that the next step, as I start, creating content and figuring out, more about how I want to execute against this. Hopefully we have another exercise that takes me to the next level.
Yeah.
This is brilliant.
So, I mean, the thing is, like, I think, because there's a lot of things that we need to explore going forward, right? So for me, this is like the first step, because there's going to be, at some stage, we need to build a bridge across to your audience, right? So we need to make the connection from your purpose into connecting with the audience. And I think all the elements that you've just spoken about kind of aligns with the audience, right? But I think here, like, as we go forward into more exploration, every time we kind of get stuck with something and we don't know if it's like, is this right or wrong? We always reference back to this, because, I mean, yes, this is really like this creative animal, but the way that you just presented it, it kind of just captures all the elements like together that you stand for. And I think this is kind of like the North Star aligned with with the objective that we want to set down. The other thing I wanted to and this is, Terry, this is, once again, this is not part of the tool itself, but I was thinking when we were talking earlier before the session, is that I wonder, because one of the things that you want to go into is like, you want to specifically look at different channels, right? Like, because this is your overarching purpose, but now you want to dip into different channels. Now, in theory, what I would probably do with a normal client is I would either use this as the North Star and say, this is the purpose, and then we go into other exercises. Another way to probably also do this is to do a purpose exercise for each of the channels. But I think there's another way that we can potentially also look at this, is that this is probably going against the whole tool, but I think this might be something that you and me can explore, is that I think if we take a channel, so for example, you kind of really into the TikTok vibe. It's one of your, you just started in there, you're playing there a lot.
I'm new to it. I'm still trying to figure it out.
You're still trying to figure it out. So I'm looking, like, if I looked at your animal, I mean, I'm just experimenting. This is just like really brainstorming with you. It's like, if we look at this, at the core, everything you do it's going to lead to freedom. But I wonder if you look at these elements, perhaps there's some of these elements you can dial up for certain channels. So for example, but it's kind of a rule you set down for yourself, as to say, and I'm just really like playing around. This is not a recommendation, but let's say ideas into action, playful, imaginative, and creative exploration, those bottom three there, that's kind of those three elements is kind of what you dial up for TikTok. And then for one of the other channels, maybe it's more about true to self that you dial up there. I mean, that's something that we could explore. I don't know if that kind of resonates with you.
Well, I mean, if we talk about my YouTube channel, I mean, I think that's probably easier. We were talking earlier that the ideas into action is dialing that up, because I already talk in the stories and everything else, showing how to be true to yourself and having a meaningful life. People get the message about being courageous, confident, and decisive. But I think they're missing but how do I do it? And finding a way to soft sell that, so that not telling them how to do it, but giving them some ideas and having maybe a structure around that. Just say, because I really have just been doing the story time kind of thing. But then it could be, if you're wondering, about this, consider blah, 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 and give something that's a little bit more concrete in order to bridge that for the audience that can't necessarily get there. But the TikTok, the playful and imaginative, being true to self, those two definitely. And then the ideas into action, because the ideas into action, I think that's the thing that I need to dial up probably everywhere. That's the bridge.
Sorry, I'm getting excited about what you're saying, because I think what you're doing, because I'm trying to, like, in a way, this animal is kind of a holistic, it's like I'm trying to snap off the arm. And I think what you're doing is to say, okay, cool, here's the lens. Let me take this lens and then look at my channels where I'm talking as Terry and see like which of these lenses or these elements in the lens is most blurry. Like you say, like, I mean, I actually, it resonates with me. Like true to, like, if you watch your YouTube stuff, true to self, meaningful life, courageous and confident, a lot of playful is definitely there. There's always laughter, creativity and exploration. But like the ideas into action is probably the more blurry one. And if you dial that up to see if it does have an effect, right? And you can do that with all the channels. Like if all the channels kind of speak to this purpose, I mean, I think then we are starting to do a job already in the sense of like trying to bring it together. I mean, there's of course a lot of other things that we need to look into as well. But I think as a first exercise, this is rock and roll.
Yeah, because the channels that we're talking about are Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Medium, and we'll say my newsletter too, but I pushed my newsletter out also to Medium.
Yeah.
With my blog posts and stuff, and those are the channels. So I think it's doing that next step, that ideas into action, but really making sure that all of the content hits a couple of these and there's an idea into action.
Remember the freedom part. But I think you have that, right? It's kind of really underlying that let go of perfection thing. There's the freedom. And I think
the freedom and letting go of perfection, take some risks and have some fun.